On this week's episode, we recap our time at the NOAA conference.
Yes, the National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation had their biennial conference this week, and we have a lot to share about our experience there.
So stick around.
Hello and welcome to Rare with Flair,
the podcast where two best friends with the same rare disease are living their best lives. I'm your host, Cassandra.
And I'm your host, Casey. As you can hear from the horse voices. Actually, mine is like slowly recovering, but it was way worse like 2 days ago. You sound kind of normal.
I
know, which is shocking.
So.
A few days ago, I didn't. I think it's like slowly returning, but we just got back, like we said, from the NOAA conference.
Literally, like at the wee hours of this morning.
Oh my gosh, this morning. Truly, yes. It was a long travel day for both of us, but it was worth it. We had a great time, and we definitely have to give you all the recaps, all the tea. And we're hoping, like, we hope some of you are listening that were there. And maybe, like,
yes,
you can recall your own memories from the conference.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. I love talking about the NOAA conference. I love going to the NOAA conference.
Yeah, me too. Well, when was your first? I
was just about to ask you that. Okay, so I've been going to NOAA for many, many years. So like Casey said in the opening, it is biennial, which means every other year. So it's only on even years. But my first one was in 2010 in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. So like I only missed one in 2018 because they rotate locations. They usually go kind of like east and then in the Midwest and then out west. And so ironically, I missed one of the Midwest ones because I was actually living on the West Coast at the time. But otherwise, I've loved being involved in NOAA. I've seen it through various stages and phases, but I am like always super happy to be involved. What about you?
Yeah, my first conference was the next one right after you. It was 2012. And I only missed 2. I only missed 16 and 18. Mm-hmm. And then we all had to do virtual for 2020, obviously. Right. But I had already planned it. Like I was going to go to that one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this organization has been with both of us for a long time now. And it feels just very like familiar to us now. It feels like home in a lot of ways.
We've had various levels of involvement in different ways. So like I've done a bunch of stuff with NOAA, like on and off throughout the years. So back when I was a teen, I wrote for their quarterly magazine regularly. I actually was grateful to receive a scholarship from them in 2015 when I graduated high school. They give out scholarships annually to like high achieving students with albinism that are involved in the community. So super honored to receive that and continue to see the lineage of scholarship recipients through the years.
Yes, definitely.
And then I think like after that, most of my involvement with NOAA has been around conference times. I usually end up leading sessions, being on panels, facilitating gatherings, that kind of thing. But that's my involvement. What about you?
Yeah.
Yours is more significant.
Well, back in 2020, at the very end, December of 2020, I started working for NOAA as an independent contractor. I was doing some stuff for them, and then long story short, I am technically, my title is Program Support Specialist for NOAA now. And yeah, so
it's kind of a catch-all term for a lot of stuff.
I do. That's a good point. I should kind of explain what I do. I do a lot of their all of their like virtual programming and events. I plan them. We have a lot of like NOAA, it's called NOAA Connections. If you would like to visit albinism.org and learn more, we have Zoom calls for both parents and people with albinism alike. I also do a lot of the donor relations, and I send the mail to people if you ever get a letter from NOAA or a postcard or anything like that. I help with their wow, I can't. We're very tired right now. People, I send a lot of their emails. If you get an email from them, it's probably from me. and do. I have. That's only
You've planned like in-person events too.
Oh yeah, I help plan the adult weekend, help with camp that we do on the odd years, adult weekend and camp, the conference, all that kind of stuff, and that's probably like half of. Yeah. I'm forgetting half of the other random.
You do a whole bunch of other stuff. It is a nonprofit. NOAA has been around for 40 years as of this year, which is really exciting.
Well, over 40, actually. I think we're at like 42 years now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 40 because they gave out some prizes for a game that were commemorative coins, and I think they were like from previous years.
They're old.
but I still think they're really cool. Anyway, so they've been around since like the 80s.
yeah, 1982.
So quite some time. And like truly have evolved a lot. I'm trying to think.
Well, I was talking to someone, Cassandra and I have Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome, and we're both also very, very involved with the Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome network, and that also is a conference, and we have episodes about that. And I was kind of saying to someone, because I have HPS, like, of course the HPS network is like my home, of course, but I said, I want all the albinism I can get. I want it all. If there were 4 conferences a year, I'd want to go to all of them. I don't think we just have to be with the HPS network because we have HPS. Why not? The more the merrier for me, bro. Like, I want to be involved with HPS network. I want to be involved with NOAA. I have so much fun with both, and I think they both bring such different and similar things to the table, and both orgs help people so much, and they've both helped me so much in different ways. And I think they're both so important to me. And so I just wanted to say that we have HPS. And what's fun about NOAA too is we're representing HPS there. And I think that's important.
The amount of times I talked about HPS, like this past weekend, to people with albinism who didn't know what it was, is kind of like astonishing.
Yeah, same. Because when you're at the HPS network conference, you can't really talk about HPS or you can't really market it to people, or not market it, but you can't tell people about it because they already know what it is.
Right.
And so
here.
At NOAA, they're already there. At NOAA, I'm scouting, trying to tell people about it. So that's fun for me because I'm passionate about that as well. So that's another, I think we need HPS representation in NOAA, and I think we do a good job of that. There aren't that many of us. No. There were maybe 4 people at this conference with HPS, including the 2 of us. So anyway, but yeah,
it's super cool. I do love these. I've talked to people in the past about the difference between the 2 conferences, because sometimes people I'm not here talking about it a ton in my daily life normally.
Sure.
But sometimes at work, I'll tell my manager oh, I'm going to an albinism conference, or oh, I'm going to a conference for my rare disease, and I kind of leave it at that. But then sometimes they're like, weren't you just at a conference for, and then they get them mixed up because they sound like the same thing, but they're very, very different cons. And
they're very different. Mm-hmm.
I think HPS has much more, and obviously if you follow this pod for any length of time, you can definitely go back and listen to one of our several episodes about Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome conferences. Since Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome is more system-wide, multi-system, and also can be fatal. It has a much different tone. But it doesn't mean that it's depressing. It has its sad moments, but we also don't take ourselves that seriously, and it's goofy and it's camp and it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Totally. They both have different vibes, but in a good way.
How would you describe NOAA?
NOAA conference, big, compared.
Big.
If we're comparing the 2, it feels more big and grand. HPS feels more tight-knit, I guess, or just a smaller community. NOAA feels grand. It feels, it just feels like we're such a wide range of people, really. Just parents and people with albinism alike. Just a lot of different people. And it's fun. Not to say HPS isn't fun. But that's kind of more the vibe because it's not as serious of a condition.
Right. Right. And it has, like, there are serious things about it, but albinism itself isn't like a terminal illness. So.
Right. And everyone with HPS has albinism, but not everyone with albinism has HPS. So it is, albinism is a symptom of HPS. So that's, just for anyone who might be.
So, like, we do, like, belong there,
Oh, but, yeah. As we should. Gosh darn it. As we should. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it. Oh my gosh. So when did you okay, wait, really quick actually. So this conference, I think we talked about this a couple of years ago when we talked about that con. So this conference was in Orange County, California. This was supposed to be the 2020 conference.
Good point. Good point to bring that up. Yes, this was the hotel that not we, because I wasn't with Noah yet, but that Noah had secured for the 2020 conference. They let us still use it for 2024. So yeah, that's where it was supposed to. We were back where we were supposed to be. And it was really funny. I have this friend named Marlena, and back in 2020 when the conference got canceled, I was really upset to her on the phone saying I really wanted to go to Disneyland. I had never been, and I had planned it all. And I was going to go with my mom and in 2020. And I was like really sad. And she was like, wink, wink, you'll still get to go. And I was like, and she was referring to the fact that like they had already like tried to secure it for 2024. But I was like, that's 4 years away.
That felt like an eternity away.
I was like, I'm never going to get to go. That's 4 years, because we had already had 2022 secured for Florida. So, yeah, that's why they skipped over. And I was like, that's 4 years. Like, but now it happened. So, that's how fast time flies.
Wow, no kidding. But, yeah, so when did you get there? And how was your first day?
Oh, I had a long travel day, as you do, because California is far for a lot of people, including Cass and I. But long travel day, like 12 hours. And I got there at night on Wednesday night, and kind of just like, it was late, and I just went straight to my hotel room pretty much. I saw some people in the lobby. That's a fun thing about NOAA conferences is people are always congregating in the lobby. And you see this light hair, and you like want to go up to them, but you're like, do I know? It's this fun game of like, do I know these people or not? And I really do use voices as a way. Like, I heard people's voices. My friend Carol, the first night in the lobby, I heard her voice, and I was like, okay, I know that's Carol. I'm going to go up to her. So it's always fun to see people congregating in the lobby. And that's another thing, like I was saying about NOAA, is so grand. You see people with albinism everywhere. There's so many people at these conferences that it's kind of fun. Like, everywhere you pass by,
it truly does feel like a takeover. Like, everyone is blonde and has like any range of like bright, like iridescent white hair to like more of a blonde, but like everyone is there, and we're
yes.
I think the hotel is probably confused.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
People who are just like casually visiting, like, oh gosh, what are we here for?
Well, some man that was casually visiting came up to me and was like, what is this? What is NOAA?
What is
and I didn't want to get into it. I just said, we're a nonprofit organization. I wasn't going to be like, well, our diagnosis, like, I just didn't really feel like at that moment. I'm just going to be real. When did you get in?
So I ended up coming on Thursday, which is when the con starts. It usually starts Thursday evening. I was originally thinking to go on Wednesday, but I had just come back from vacation. So
you did. You quick turnaround.
Right. I went to Glacier National Park, and it was, I don't think I've talked about it on the pod yet because we haven't recorded. But it was amazing. Right. Like, long story short, I guess. Like, I don't have a ton to say about it because it was just gorgeous. And we hiked and saw incredible scapes. I saw a bear. It was nuts. It was very close to our car. Which made it, one, easier to see, and two, more scary that it was just there. It was just hanging out, eating. And, like, my parents were with me, and they like, the car stopped, and I was like, they were like, oh, it's a bear. And I was like, we kind of saw one yesterday, like off the side of the road. It's pretty far out in some like grasses, and I was like, oh, okay, it's probably some like brown blob far away. That's nice. And they were like, my mom was like, no, it's a freaking bear. Look out your window. And I was playing like Sudoku and I looked up and it was just out. It was there.
That's amazing.
It was just right there.
That's amazing.
So it was incredible.
Gosh.
And
amazing.
True bucket list dream. But I got back the Monday of that week.
Oh.
And I like was only home Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then I had to leave again to go back to the West Coast and to California. So I could not afford to leave any sooner.
Sure.
But anyway, I left on Thursday and I got there like midday California time. So I took a little nap. I was like working on a presentation for one of my sessions. I ran into some friends and yeah, like I don't want to get too far into Thursday because I want to know what like you did too. But up till the opening session, I guess, like ran into some friends, planned some stuff, was gearing up for the weekend.
Yeah, I worked a good bit on Thursday just for Noah related things. I was doing some things on my laptop in my room in the morning, and then came down and I started to help with registration at the desk. And it was so funny because Cassandra right now, because Romana is retired, she's using her cane at the moment. And I was like standing there and I was expecting her to be getting in a little later. So I wasn't expecting to see her. And I saw first your green cane handle. I saw this green cane handle and I was like, wait. And we like ran and had this very like dramatic, I wish someone had recorded it. It was this very like out of a movie, dramatic running to each other, which is cute because usually when you're blind, you don't have that like running thing because you don't see the person far enough away to like have that. But I like saw the green and then I like noticed it was you. So I like ran over and we hugged and it was really funny because I was like in the middle of working. But I knew Cassandra had a gift for me.
Oh, yeah.
In her room. And our schedules were so packed, you guys, like back to back to back to back. I said, why don't we just do that now? Because I'm worried that like I'm not going to have another moment to go to your room. And like can I explain it to them?
Yeah.
Have we talked about this? I don't think we have.
No, we haven't.
We haven't. So back a few months ago when Cassandra and I were in New York for the Hermansky-Pudlak Syndrome Conference, she told me, like she gave me a card and explained what this was and showed me a picture of it. So I knew that she had this gift for me, but it wasn't ready yet. And so she like went to a jeweler. I can't say that word.
It's a horrible word to say.
A jeweler in her town and like custom commissioned this jewelry for us, kind of like friendship. It was to celebrate the do you want to say? I mean, it was you that did it.
I know.
Okay.
I like that you're telling him because I think
okay.
It's like spot on.
It was to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of our friendship, which is so special, and this podcast and just what our friendship is. And so mine is a beautiful silver necklace, and it is the sound waves of the first time that Cassandra ever said hello and welcome to Rare with Flair. It like makes me want to cry. It's so sweet. And then she has a silver ring that is the sound waves of the first time I ever said hello.
Which is our first ever episode.
So yeah, and so like you have my voice and I have yours and it's our pod and like it's the perfect size and length and everything because I had seen the picture of it but I didn't know what it was going to look like in person, you know, and it was just perfect. It's perfect and I love it so much and it's so meaningful and I wore it the rest of the weekend and I was glad that we had that moment to actually sit down and like give it to me in person.
Well, and it was hard because like I had this idea early March and I was literally like killing time when I had to go to the ER in early March and I was like
fun.
I was like I knew I wanted to do something cute for our like friendship anniversary because it was just like really special and like truthfully I haven't like I don't know if I've had a friend for as long as I've had a friend like Casey, and so I'm like I want to kind of honor that and also like something that was really, you know, even if we at some point in the future don't have this pod or aren't doing it regularly, like it's still like a really significant part of our relationship. And it is what drew us close together to be like truly besties.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, we were good friends, we were pretty close, but I don't think we would have been besties without the pod.
Yeah, I agree.
So like it was really fun, but I finally only got to go because I was like out of town after, I think like after I tried to commission it, and then they weren't able to get it done. Oh wait, no, I did it as soon as I could. Actually, I'm thinking like it's all coming back to me, but like they still weren't gonna be able to get it done in like less than a month. But like they had the renderings and everything, so that's what I gave Casey back in April when we saw each other. But like, of course, it was like right after I got back, like the week after conference that I had seen her in April, that like they were like, "Oh, it's ready," and I was like, "Ugh, of course."
But no, I'm glad it was. We had this moment now, and it was really really awesome. Like I didn't know how much time we would have to actually hang. I feel like we probably had more time than I even like thought we would.
I agree. I thought we weren't gonna have like any time, but we did.
Yeah, ships passing in the night, like
Truly.
You know, like. But no, we did. So anyway, that was really special. And then I went and peeked in the first timer session, which is a session we have for first timers. Obviously, we had about like 200 first timers, if I'm not mistaken, this year, which is really cool.
I was like hiding in the corner of that too.
Yeah. That was really cool. Anything you did before the opening ceremony? Did we eat together? Was that night that we ate?
We did. We had dinner.
Okay, I'm losing the days of what happened when, but we had dinner together in the hotel.
One of the volunteer things that I did at this NOAACon was I kind of coordinated and facilitated some of like young adult hangout sessions. So I think like I talked to some of my like younger friends at NOAA that are in their early 20s, and I was like, okay, hey, like I would love for young adults to kind of have a place, but like we don't need to have like a dedicated schedule for just us, because since we are adults, like all of the adult programming is open to us.
Sure.
So I just kind of wanted a place where we could connect, because I think based on what I kind of thought and talking to other people, like young adults at this conference, like they just want to connect. And so I kind of wanted to make that happen. So we did 3 different little kind of dedicated hangouts, but then a lot of the connections happened after. So before the opening session and after the first timers, we had kind of a young adult conference orientation. So myself and my good friend Liz kind of welcomed, I want to say there were like 30 people there. It was a lot more than I thought were going to be there. I thought maybe like 10 or 15. But a good like collection of young adults came, and so we kind of just introduced ourselves to be like friendly faces throughout the weekend, and talked about like sessions that people might want to attend, and plugged ones that we were leading also. And then we also just were, so there was like a conference platform, we were plugging that too, so that people could help make their own schedules. And Liz was creating like a big group chat on WhatsApp, so people like wrote down their contact info and they could use it throughout the week, and like people would ask like, oh, where's everyone getting lunch or something like that, so people could continue to meet up. And I think that worked pretty well, so it was really fun. It was just a really casual like, hey, welcome to the con, let's keep getting connected.
Yeah, it was really good. I like was in the very first one. I didn't come to all of them, but I kind of like poked my head in kind of deal, just like and it was really great. And you did
your support.
You did such a good job like running all of that, and like I think everyone really enjoyed it too that I talked to. Like I think it was a good group there, and I
think people were like, I mean, obviously, like you can only take it so far, but I think people were really like open and receptive and wanting to connect, so that did make it a lot easier.
Yes, it was good to have like a designated space for everyone to kind of be like, we're meeting up. There was like a group chat going on I heard about, so that was perfect.
It was fun.
And then we had the opening session, and we were both pretty involved in this in the sense that we were in a video, like a pre-made video, the trend that was popular like a few months back of like, I have albinism, of course I do this, and we had a lot of people that were involved in that, and so that was fun. It got a lot of laughs from the audience. It was like a good way to start. And of course we had like a dance flash mob thing with the kids, and Cassandra and I were somehow told to be ribbon dancers, which was probably a bad idea for us. It
was not the right choice.
We were like getting them twisted around our arm, the ribbon. I was like, I couldn't find my groove with the ribbon dancing. I just was not, it was not working. It was really funny. But we were going down the aisles with our ribbon. We had Spiffy there, our not, I was about to say HPS, our SPF, that's another 3-letter thing. Our SPF mascot, Spiffy, was there.
It's so funny because he's like, hilarious. It's like a man. We know, I mean, we don't want to like blow Spiffy's cover, but it's like a pretty well-known guy in the albinism community, and he puts on this like red suit that looks like a bottle of sunscreen and like a face covering hat.
It's impressive looking.
It looks
the outfit
awesome.
Is the shoes alone are fabulous. He has big sunglasses on. Like, it's kind of amazing.
I really love the look of it. Like the logo on the bottle of sunscreen, quote unquote, is like the logo of the organization. Yeah. And then like the shoes and the whole thing are the colors of the org, which are this kind of like mustard yellow and scarlet. And I think it just looks so good. I'm obsessed. I think it's hilarious.
He's great. We were like giving him high fives, like Spiffy over here, like high five. He was running down the aisles. So fun. Yeah, and that's like in the grand ballroom area, and there was some snacks and stuff like that. I feel like I'm mixing things up in my mind. I was like, were there snacks? Like that's how crazy this conference is. I'm like, wait, was that another time? Like my brain is like mixing up everything. I think there were snacks.
And you keep coming back to the same locations to do similar stuff, so it gets really confusing because like all the lunches were in there. And
yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started socializing. So after the opening session, there were a lot of people that got also, board members and like volunteers that were heavily involved that got recognized, which they were like obviously super well deserved. The current scholarship recipient of that year got recognized, which was really cool. Yeah. Congratulations to Nula.
Yeah.
And
if you're listening, we know you listen sometimes to this pod, so we're calling you out by name to say
smart
congratulations.
Girl. Ugh.
Very smart.
She makes great online content too. So I would plug her if I remembered her Instagram.
Yeah.
But okay, so then after the opening session, there was like a young adult thing that I kind of coordinated with some of my friends. I call them the girlies when I talk about them. But like, so I had gotten the idea from a local event that I had been to here in Columbus, and it's like a speed friending, and I had a lot of fun when I went. But what I liked most was that at this speed friending event that I went to, there were some people that were at tables with groups of 4, and it was more fun that way where like you got to end up having a group conversation that people felt more comfortable instead of like a more one-on-one interviewee type getting to know you where it feels like an interrogation. This was really fun. So like the whole group kind of played off each other and ideally found some common ground. So I had people in kind of with chairs in groups of 4, and like 2 people would stay seated in those same chairs, and then 2 people in the group would rotate around to the other like groups of chairs. And so I gave people like 5 minutes, but it did totally fly by. I think it was a good length of time though, despite that, but I kind of just wanted like to wet people's whistles, so to speak, so that they would like feel like, oh, I really jived with that person. I'd like to talk to them more after this. So, I think people had a lot of fun because I think every time like I would end the timer, people were kind of like, oh man,
not
like,
wanting to leave.
They wanted to keep talking, which is awesome, and I love that. So, but I think people had a good time. I enjoyed it. I like, I can talk loudly, but I guess I can't project very well to get, like, the attention of a room. So I was having some of my friends, I was like, please yell. I'm not going to blow up my voice yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did, obviously, but not at that moment. But it was a good time. The last 2 rounds, I just kind of let them go for a while, partly because I was talking to one of my friends already, and I didn't really want to end the conversation.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
But it was great, and people, like, continued to like, talk after we had to, like, leave the room, and I was excited about how that turned out.
Yeah, and I didn't go to that. Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm a little bit in that between age of, like, I'm kind of not a young adult anymore, but, like, the adults are kind of, like, I don't really, I feel like I fit in with both, though. Like, I do love the young adults, and I love the adults, too. Like, I feel like I fit in with, I'm not saying I don't fit in anywhere, you know, like, I feel like I fit in both places, really, if I wanted to hip hop around. So that's kind of what I was doing, is hopping around. It's, you know, because I'm NOAA staff, I do know a lot of people, so I feel like
you do know a lot of people.
I know a lot of people. So when that was going on, I was still, like, in the grand ballroom area from where the closing session had wrapped up, and so
the opening session, girl.
Wow, yeah, yeah, we didn't get to bed till very early in the morning this morning.
I know.
So yeah, I'm losing my mind. But the opening, I was still standing there after the opening session, so I kept, like, seeing people I knew or getting stopped by people I knew. So that's like,
well, she is, like, NOAA famous because, like, she said she, like, does all the virtual programming, so everyone has pretty much met her if they've been to any virtual program.
Well, and it's funny, too, because I send the emails, and I had this happen, like, 5 times where I would introduce myself to someone, and they'd be like, you're the email girl. I see your name on the email. And I was like, that's me. I've been, like, you know, emailing. And so, yeah, I was just kind of, like, you know, chit-chatting with people right outside the door, pretty much. But no, it sounds like I heard that the speed friending thing went really well, and it sounds really fun, and it was a good night of just getting to catch up with everybody. And then
well, like, assuming people come to every con, which not everyone does or can, even, like, the 2 of us have missed at least one, so, like, you only really get to see these people, like, once every 2 years.
Yeah.
And so the temptation is really, really, really high to, like, not sleep and just keep hanging out, because you know that you're probably not going to see them again for another 2 years if they come to that con.
So true. Yep. So true. The next day, Friday, I woke up and I started my morning. I had like a little window of time, which is rare at the conference. And I had a little window of time, and I went over to the Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome booth. We have an exhibitor hall with different booths, different organizations and companies. And HPS has a table, and it's, you know, a place to spread awareness about Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. And I was really happy to do that. And it was really funny because, like, our booth was not that popular. People kept going to other booths, and I kept just, like, trying to, like, look into people's souls. Like, I was, like, trying to, like, get, like, I was trying to make eye contact with people to be like, come here, because I am passionate about it. I had a lot of people come up to the booth saying, I've never heard of this. What is this? Yeah. I don't know what this is. And that makes me sad. So I was like, had my whole spiel ready, the whole scientific. We have, like, the platelet pictures on the table, and I was, like, going through the whole thing. So that was fun. I was glad to get to, like, represent HPS Network / help them out while I was there, and that was a good time.
Yeah, I did stay up late, not necessarily just doing social stuff, but I had to finish my presentation, so I didn't really have time before. But since I was, again, on vacation, so I was doing a talk on Saturday, so I wanted to finish the PowerPoint and have it, like, pretty much done. So I did go to bed kind of late. And my co-presenter was also working on it too, so we were both working on our talk, but on our PowerPoint at least. But on Friday I did sleep in a little bit more because of that. I didn't have, like, many other morning commitments, so I'm kind of glad I got to sleep in a little bit. But I did also make my way to the HPS booth, which worked out because, like, by the time I went there, Casey, like, was there for a little bit, and we, like, chit-chatted and caught up, and then she had to go, and run to her next commitment. So I got to kind of like take her shift, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was really funny while we were at the booth, though. So I was there with Ashley Appel, who is like our founder and president's daughter. And Donna kind of popped in and out. She was also busy doing important things because she's an important lady. But so I was sitting there with Ashley, and like at one point, the teen group was like hanging. I guess I don't know if it was part of their.
It is. It's part of their programming. They have some designated time to come to the exhibit hall. Yeah.
I had no idea that this was happening until there was like the teen group and the kids groups. They wear these like reflective neon shirts so that people with albinism can spot them from like far distances. So like the teens were wearing this like safety orange yellow like shirt, and it was just like a bunch of teens in neon orange shirts were walking around, and they didn't know what else to do. So like a bunch of them were just happened to be standing in front of the HPS booth, and I was like, hey guys.
Did you tell them? Did you take
I talked to a bunch of kids. I was like, do you guys know what Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome is? And they were like, no.
Of course they didn't.
So I explained it briefly in a way that I hope a teen would understand, more like focusing on like the bleeding aspect so that it doesn't freak them out. But like a lot of them saw the pictures of the platelets. It's funny that you point that out because they were like, what are these? And I was like, that's a great question. Like, this is what platelets look like under an electron microscope.
Right.
And they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I think it was at least mildly interesting.
Right. Okay. That's fun. I didn't even know that part of that. Yeah, I didn't even know that happened to you, that they came by. So that's fun.
I also got to meet one of our fans. Shout out to Johanna. It was so cool to meet you.
Johanna sent us the loveliest email in the world. Thank you so much, Johanna, for writing to us. We love when you guys write to us on email. Which is hello@rarewithflair. Wait, I'm so tired. I can't speak. hello@rarewithflair.com. Is that it? I keep wanting to say at Gmail, but there's already the at there. There's not two ats. It's hello@rarewithflair.com.
Yeah, hello@rarewithflair.com.
Yeah, and Johanna sent us a great email, and then I got to meet her later, so I'm so glad we got to meet her. But while Cass was doing all of that, I was I was teaching drama to the kids, a drama class. So my background is in theater, as you all know if you listen to this, and I have a lot of, because of that, I have a lot of like improv games in my back pocket. I have in the past I've run theater camps, and I've taught acting classes at different schools, after school programs and stuff. This is not new territory for me. However, it is a lot of children. It's a lot of kids. And they're so cute. I love getting to see them. I mean, you really don't go over to the kids area unless you are doing something with them. So it really is a treat to get to go see them. I will say it's a little overwhelming. I definitely, like you were saying earlier about having to project your voice, I was definitely having to really raise my voice, and it was sore. You know, your voice is already hurting at this conference. I was kind of having to scream over them. It is a large group, and they're excited to be there. So they're a little crazy hyper. So anyway, it was kind of a lot. I did it 2 years ago, and back then I was like, that was a lot. That was a lot. I also have taught drama.
She came back and was like the last con, she was like, never again. And then
I did say
here we are again.
Well, it's funny because I taught it at camp, and it was a lovely experience because it was smaller group. It's more manageable because it's just me. It's me alone. I almost need an assistant. Wink, wink, Cass. I might recruit you next time.
Sure.
I need another person. It's kind of too much for just me. But it was still fun to see the kids. It was just,
that's a blast. That's funny. At least it was entertaining.
It was. No, it was. And I think the ones that wanted to be involved really, I think, got something out of it. It's just like theater isn't for everyone. So like there were some kids that seemed way more into it than others, of course.
Absolutely.
As that happens. So
yeah. So like let's see, we got some quick lunch, and then I got to be on a panel, which was really fun. It was another one of those things at NOAA where like someone like either approaches you right there or like messages you beforehand and is like, I have a job for you. But I'm always like super happy to do it. To be honest, I did not know exactly what the panel was for until I was sitting on the panel. So it was
fun.
It was hilarious. But like I knew the guy running it and I was like, like he's great. He's competent. Like I think it's going to be completely fine. And I'm perfectly comfortable just kind of talking off the cuff. So, the general topic was about orientation and mobility because he's a mobility instructor. But it actually was a little bit more specific about using like tools, which is something we talk about a lot on this pod. So they had one guy who was kind of more of a part-time cane user. They had someone who was more of a full-time cane user, and then I was kind of talking about what it's like to be a guide dog user. And so it is like hard to be succinct about that in a sense, just because there's a lot involved.
So much to say. You could talk for 5 hours and not be done. I could
literally, and at the last con, I did a session about like, is a guide dog right for you? And I kind of walked through like a lot of the factors you'd want to consider if you were wanting to explore getting a guide dog. But, so I was kind of talking about my own experience about like why I decided to use a guide dog, kind of pros and cons and surprising benefits. And it was really cool. I loved being able to share, even though I didn't have Ramona at this con because she's retired. I still have been a guide dog user for like 8 years, which is a long time. So it was cool to get to share and made me excited to get a successor dog in the future.
Oh, I'm so excited. So excited for that. And I wish I could have been at that session. Around that same time, I was moderating a session for the tweens and teens. It was an artist panel. So the theme of this conference, it's near Hollywood, California, and the theme is Take Two with the little like movie like marker, like where they slap the slapboard thing. And so it was called Take Two because this was our second chance at this hotel since we could not do it in 2020. So it's a play on words like a movie, but also like Take Two. So a lot of the teen programming was kind of artist themed because of that. And so I moderated this artist panel, different people from the community who do different styles of art, such as writing, dancing, acting, that kind of thing. And the teens and tweens got to ask questions. And so that was a good time.
That's so cool.
Right after that, did you have another thing before the book club?
I did.
What did you do? Okay, go ahead.
It was so crazy. I think Friday was my busiest day, and I think Saturday was yours.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think I had more like packed in back to back than I did. I had a few more breaks on Saturday, which was nice and very much needed. So I facilitated a forum. Basically, it was just an open place for young adults with albinism. And so unlike the hangout after the opening session the day before, I think people were kind of expecting a game. They're like, are we going to play a game? And I was like, no, this is literally just unstructured social time. But I was just kind of there making sure that people were, not destroying the room, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Just kind of I guess the chaperone, so to speak.
Yeah,
but I was also just hanging out. I wanted to talk to other people. So
yeah, makes sense.
It was kind of chaotic because where it was, I don't know who was in charge of stuff. And I would ask some of the volunteers because it was in the same area where the kids program was. And I was like, who unlocks the doors? So it was a huge group of people that were there, which was fun. But we were just cloistered outside the door for a while until someone had the magic key. But it was really fun. And I think people, again, appreciated just a time to chit chat.
Yeah. And I went straight from the teen panel to, I was hosting / I kind of recruited Cassandra to co-host with me, a book club. We do a virtual book club for Noah once every 2 months-ish. And it's a good group of people. A lot of them were not there, attending the conference in person. But Cassandra and I kind of hosted this little book club session. Only one person came, which is a little sad. There was another lady I ran into earlier that day who totally said she was coming, and I guess things happen and people get busy and do other sessions. But we read the book True Biz by, what's her name? Naomi Novik,
Sarah
I believe.
Novich.
Or Sarah Novich. Yep. Sorry, Naomi Novik is another author, so don't listen to me. Sarah Novich. True Biz, it is about a deaf school and a lot of the happenings there. And the book club, myself and two other women who run the book club, we chose that book because we wanted it to be disability related, but not so on the nose of an albinism or a blind book. So we thought a book about a deaf school would be cool to learn about another disability. And even though only one person came, we had a really good, I think we had a good discussion. Yeah, I think we had a fruitful talk.
I read that book in 3 days, or no, in 2 days, and I loved it. I thought it was a really cool book, so highly recommend if you're looking for a new read. It's fiction, so you do learn a lot about the deaf community, but the story is it's 3 primary characters and it's a rotating perspective, so you kind of get their experiences, and of course all their paths kind of cross, and so also. I was gonna say something else about. I don't remember. Anyway, it's really, really good. That's what I was gonna say. Wow. See, we are tired. They are all kind of different, I guess archetypes of people that are involved in the deaf community.
Good way to describe it. Yeah.
So I highly recommend, because I think I kind of vaguely knew a few things, but I learned so much. So you do, they do have kind of interspersed, this is how you would sign and how, the signing language actually works in practice. But most of it is this fiction story where you're following these characters, and I find them really compelling, and the story was really good. So,
and I knew you'd like it. I totally knew. Cassandra was like, "Do you want me to help you host book club?" And I was like, "Yeah, can you read the book that quick?" She's like, "I'll binge it. I'm a good binge reader." And I was
especially in that genre.
Yeah, and fiction. Yeah, contemporary fiction.
Contemporary fiction, I can binge.
And so I was like, good, and I knew she would like it. So I'm glad you read it. Just I'm glad this kind of gave you the push to read it.
It was on my TBR.
I've been telling you about it for a while. Yeah.
Right. So you told me about it after I got back from CSUN, and it was on my TBR, and I did want to read it. But it worked out that it was the Noah Book Club book, so I just
totally give you that extra push to read it.
It was awesome. I highly recommend it, you guys.
So after that, we had choir practice, but we had a movie screening that we had to change clothes for. So it was a race against the clock to leave book club. We had to leave it early to go to our hotel rooms to change, to then show up at choir practice. So quick background. Noah has been doing a choir every year. Marlena Barber, who's a key volunteer for Noah and a close friend of mine, started the choir. It was unofficially in 2016, I believe. It was a smaller group of people called White Noise, which is so funny.
I love that name.
And that was their band name or whatever. And then in 2018 was the official first in-person choir. Cass and I, neither of us were, you weren't there, right?
I wasn't there, yeah.
Neither of us were there. And then 2020, it was a virtual choir for obvious reasons. And we did many virtual, we did 3 or 4 virtual choirs with Noah. And then even in 2022, we ended up not doing it just for COVID reasons. And so this was the first time back doing it in person.
Post-pandemic.
And it was our first time doing it in person. So we met for a rehearsal. We sang the song Count on Me by Bruno Mars. And I mean, we won't spoil it because we didn't. We'll tell that part when we get to it on Sunday. But we did the rehearsal, and it was just a quick. Oh, and I will say, one of our Noah teens named Caroline, who is also a listener to the pod, so shout out
Caroline.
To Caroline, is a very talented pianist, and she was
talented.
She was our live accompaniment for this, and that was so cool to have a person with albinism accompanying us. Live, and she was flawless from the very first rehearsal.
She needed no direction.
No, she never made a mistake. So it was great.
It was crazy. But yeah, so then after choir we ran we really quick, I mobile ordered something from Starbucks for us.
My
and
gosh, yes. We were like tried to shove our faces with food because
oh my
the whole
gosh.
day we like was so jam-packed for both of us.
And at the screening, like there was going to be snacks, but not like a meal.
Right.
So we had to eat. So I'm really glad we
were grabbing
did.
Starbucks food.
Oh.
We dressed up. We donned our fancy outfits.
Red carpet wear.
For this red carpet. So it was, we have to like promote the heck out of this movie.
We have to talk about this movie.
Good. There is a short film, an independent film called Jasmine is a Star, about a young girl named Jasmine who has albinism, who wants to be a model. It's a coming of age story. It's pretty appropriate for most ages, I would say, like teens and up. You know, there's nothing super inappropriate in it. We found the cutest, like, local vintage looking movie theater in California. So it's not like a big chain theater. It's like a little local theater that allowed us to screen this. And we had the cast and crew of the film, not like the entire cast and crew, but the key players, the director and writer and the main stars and everything. We had them all there for the screening. And so, yeah, you want to like take the rest of this story.
It was so cool. So like Casey and I, we were talking about it later. Like we weren't sure what to expect because it was like, it's a shorter, maybe like just under an hour indie film. And so like you never quite know what you're going to get with an indie film. And I remember like seeing the casting calls back when they were starting this. And so I wasn't super sure like what it was going to be. I didn't know how the story was going to play out. Yeah. But so Jasmine and her family are Black, and so you get to see a lot. Like I don't want to spoil it because I highly recommend everyone go watch it. I
highly recommend you watch it. Everyone listening.
It is like really, really well done. The acting is great. The filmography is so good. Like the shots are framed really creatively and well.
Yeah, the writing. I was super impressed with the writing.
The writing was awesome.
Fantastic.
It was like we were kind of, so there were a few things we were worried about. So portrayal of albinism in media is not always like the best. And so we were worried that maybe first off, my personal worry was like that her parents were going to be like the standard movie parent of like unsupportive, like didn't really like support her in her dreams. And that was not the case.
Right. It really like told a lot about albinism without being too preachy. I believe it's streaming on a place called Fuse, I believe, Fuse, and I think
it's free.
It's a 7-day free trial. So if you want to like do the free trial and then bow out, you can just to watch it. We recommend it. And we had a really fun red carpet at the event.
I think it's also on the Roku channel, perhaps.
Oh, Roku. Oh, okay. Good to know.
Also the subscription version, but again, if there's a free trial, we recommend that you give it a shot. It was really cool. They touched on race. They touched on, what is art. They touched on, like poor portrayals of people with albinism. Yeah. It's cool because like they really did involve a lot of the kind of language surrounding albinism that we as lifelong PWAs of course are used to hearing. Oh yeah. But in a way that like wasn't like cringy. Like it was not.
Absolutely. And it was just so fun to watch it full of an audience of PWA and their family. And we had a talk back kind of at the end with some of the cast and crew. They got up on stage.
It in like, what, it's 5 to 8 days?
5 days, yeah.
5 days.
Like the budget of an indie film, they wanted to be able to feed everyone and like get it all done and pay everyone fairly. And so they had to do it quickly. And you couldn't tell like that it didn't seem rushed or anything. Like,
no.
But it's very impressive that they were able to do it.
And the story ended like really, really beautifully. Like instead of this like really bold, like, I don't know, like huge, big moment. It was quieter and softer and still very like powerful.
Yes, I completely agree. I loved the ending. I thought the ending could not have been more of a perfect ending. And everyone at the movie theater, the staff and everything was very nice. The movie theater was so cute, and we got to take pictures with the cast and got free popcorn and a drink, and it was just like a really special experience.
The lead who played Jasmine, Ayana, she is a model in real life, and you could totally tell based on the way she acted.
Tell. Absolutely, you can totally tell. She's gorgeous as well. And it was cool to go off site as well. You know, like you're usually at these conferences, you're kind of like locked in the hotel. So that was just like a really special. That was one of my highlights. I have like top three or four, and that would be definitely in the top.
I really liked that.
So yeah, Saturday.
Well, actually, after that, there was a 18 plus game night, and it was really fun. Yeah. We played.
I went to bed. That's why I didn't. Yeah.
We played the game Password for anyone who has like played that before. It basically like you're on a team of two people. One person is shown this word, and so you can only with one word describe the secret password, and you need your partner to guess without knowing. So it was really fun. I played with my friend Rebecca, and we actually won, and I was really proud of us, and it was really funny and enjoyable, and a lot of us like hung out in the lobby again and chit-chatted, but I tried to go to bed as early as I could, but that is difficult because there's just so much hanging to do.
I know. I bowed out. I did not go to the game night, but I heard it was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
From the people that were there. Yeah, so that's really fun. Saturday morning was like another really great highlight for us.
Yes.
It was so great. Cass and I got to host 2 sessions, one for the tweens and then one for the teens, 2 back-to-back, about confidence.
Yes. So it was cool because like Casey was talking before, you know, we had a conversation before the conference about what we were going to talk about, and you said something along the lines of like, I had always kind of wanted to be like speaking at a conference kind of as Rare with Flair.
Yes.
And that is what we did. You know, we weren't there to necessarily promote the pod, but we were kind of as a result of our podcast, we were talking to these tweens and teens.
Yeah.
So that was super fun.
Yeah, we weren't really there as Casey and Cassandra. We were there as Rare with Flair, kind of.
The girlies from Rare with Flair.
Yes, yes. It was really special. We talked about kind of a lot of the things we talk about on this pod. Talked about confidence with using tools, confidence with looking different when you have albinism, confidence with standing out, which we stand out as people with albinism for many different reasons. And how we deal with that in the journey we've been on, and how that journey is not always linear, and how we're still learning. But I think it's important for teens and tweens that age to hear from adults. I think that's very important.
I would have loved that.
I would have loved it as well. And we had a lot of them come up to us after the session and say how much it touched them. And even kids who like, they don't even have albinism. It might be their parent or their sibling. They even were really moved by it, because we were worried we were going to be excluding them a little bit when we talked about like the struggles of albinism specifically. But like, that's something they need to hear as well. That the things their family members go through, and it's a time to like be open about that. You might not talk about it a lot at home, and it's a time to be like, hey, we see your experience too as a sibling or as a child.
Yeah. It was super special because like we got to share some of the stories we have talked about on the pod. So like we talked about when like looking different, we talked about the natural shaking of our eyes, nystagmus, where like Casey has shared some of her stories on the pod. And then I talked about like lacking pigment and how that makes us look different sometimes from our families, and how that can, you know, make us feel out of place. But, you know, how we also have to continue to remind ourselves that, like, you know, no, they are our families. Like, we do belong. But I thought it was really, really special. I think some of the siblings that came up after were also people of color. And I was like, I feel you. And I'm so sorry. And, like, I felt like I got to really connect with these, like, teens because it's hard. And, you know, I appreciate my brother, who I think always, kind of replied to that, and kind of in a charming and funny way that dismissed people's initial, I don't know, like reactions to it that were like negative and like accusatory and like uncalled for. And so I hope that these teens can grow up to be kind of like that and like truly feel like they love their families, because they do. They really love, like they were so moved because like they love their families so much.
Yeah.
And they hate to see them being hurt. And they just want people to understand them the way that they know their family members to be. And I just thought that was so touching. So I'm really grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a little bit of free time, and I went to that afternoon. I went to the genetic. There was a lot of genetic testing on site at the NOAA conference this year for the first time ever. We always are used to that at the HPS Network conference, and we haven't ever had that at NOAA. And I went and I participated in some research, got some pictures of my eyes taken, and that was good. Yeah, I don't need to say. I know we're. Yeah. Don't need to say too much more about that. What other sessions did you do that day?
I'm trying to think, because I think I thought I did something else after our talk, but I actually don't know that. No, I don't actually think I did. So I think the next thing I went and did was the session that I was hosting with my friend Bianca, and it was so fun. I did it at the last con, but with another friend, and so like we were talking about beauty. It's like the beauty session. Like usually there is one, because people always want to know about like makeup and hair care and skincare. Yeah. We wanted to keep it a little bit, Bianca and I love makeup, and so we were definitely going to talk about that and strategies. So stuff we talked about on the pod too with Case, where like strategies for how we apply it and products that we really like. And I love doing it because also I think every 2 years I learn new things still, and I love to share them at the con. I was about to say on the pod.
And I went and I watched the whole session, and I got many shout outs during it, which I was very happy about.
Because Casey and I are always talking about how we influence each other. And so even on our makeup episode that we did a couple years back, she was telling me about some products that I now regularly use, and vice versa, which was cool. But like I was talking about them, and it's like my best friend turned me on to the Tarte tubing mascara, and it was just
and like
so fun.
The Maybelline lips and a lot of the things.
The Maybelline lips.
And it was funny because like I don't think Cass knew I was watching, and then I was like, woo! Like when she said my bestie, and she was like, oh, she's here.
Like I assumed she was, but you know. You had said,
you had said if you can make it, and I was like, I'm gonna try to make it, and so yeah, but like you couldn't see me obviously for obvious reasons, so like that's why it was funny. But
it was super fun. We talked about like sunscreen, of course, and Bianca's used self tanner before and has good tips and tricks for it and recommendations. So I learned a lot from her too, and it was great. I loved doing that session. I keep getting asked to do it, which I'm honored because I like to talk. So I thought it was really fun. And Bianca was like the perfect co-host. It was so great. So after that, though, like I kept stealing away to like take little breaks and naps because I knew that I was going to need to last until later in the night. So I kind of ran back and took another little break until we had to do... until we had choir practice again. That was pretty much it.
Yes, and then after Cass's Red Carpet Ready is what it was called. After Cass's and Bianca's Red Carpet Ready session, I went to this like meet the board and staff session where people can just come, kind of like a town hall, ask questions, that kind of thing. And it ended up going really, really overtime, and I missed choir practice actually. But it's fine because I went to the other choir practice, and I'm glad we had multiple practices for that reason, but I was sad to miss choir. And then we had our dance party / dessert reception / silent auction, which is always a highlight. We did
super fun.
We had dancing and karaoke this year, which
I
was
loved the karaoke.
so fun. So yeah, we get in there. Cass and I got some pizza from the restaurant. You know, once again, trying to eat in the 5 minutes we have to eat. We didn't have time for dinner. We went straight, you know, to this party. Spiffy was there again, got some cute pics. All the silent auction items were just fabulous this year, I thought.
It was so cool.
So many cool handmade.
People are so creative.
I love handmade things, period. Like, not even just at the silent auction. Like, in my life in general, I want my house to be full of just, like, handmade quilts and art. And I live for it. I live for, like, a handmade thing and, like, a one-of-a-kind thing. And, so that was cool. And we were, like, dancing and stuff. And then...
Oh, and then karaoke.
One of the highlights of the entire conference.
One of our dreams finally got realized.
Our dream came true.
We finally had the opportunity to karaoke together and pick a song that we were thrilled about. Thrilled.
If you followed the pod before, we've talked about this song many times, saying that we like have requested it at karaoke, and the stars never aligned for us, did they, Cass? We've constantly requested this, and we just wanted to even request it on the dance floor, not even for like karaoke purposes. But this was that we were like, this is our time, and I looked her in the eye, and I'm like, we are going first. Like, we getting
have
in
to
line.
Open it up.
Like, we're opening this up mainly because your girl needs to go to bed. Because it's late, but also we're doing this. And so we sprinted to the front when it was time to sign our names. And I think we haven't even revealed what song we sang.
Yeah, so we sung Misery Business by Paramore.
Yes, Misery Business by Paramore.
To no one's surprise, I would think. But
to no one's surprise. Maybe, like, highlight of my life, possibly.
It was amazing. It was
not to
so
be dramatic. And it helped that like the audience of our friends were out there just like really gassing us up during it, cheering us on, and we
they were
felt
all like singing along. Like, it was so fun, and it felt so like right for us. It felt so like long overdue. Really enjoyed it, and the rest of the karaoke was all like really, really fun. People, a lot of them picked songs that like the crowd would know, so like we got to all kind of be involved. Since we were both busy, Casey like actively like working and doing her actual job and like volunteering, like we didn't know if we were going to be able to hang out, and we kind of made a lot of jokes about it leading up to the con.
Yes,
we did, and it was such a blast.
We were just each other's shadow like most of the night.
I know. Anytime we were available, we were just trying to find each other. It was really fun.
It was great. It was fun.
It was awesome.
I left around, I don't know, 11 something, but I feel like you were there for a very long time.
Yeah. A group of us finished, like, we didn't like stay until the very end of karaoke, but a few of the other people who were there like sung some fun songs, and then a big group of us sung like Party in the USA, and then we tapped out and we just kind of hung out. And again, the pressure to like actually hang out because you might not see them in a long time is super real. So like I just had to. I think it was really fun, and I had a really great time, just like low pressure hang. So it was great. It was so good.
Yes. So good, but we had to be up bright and early on Sunday.
I went to bed late.
Yes, and I wasn't sleeping well. Like, even though I went back to my room earlier, like I was like waking up early and not being able to go back, and like I think just like the time change, and I don't know, just all of it. But we woke up to have our final choir practice for the choir for the closing ceremony, and like we sounded really good.
I was so impressed. So, no, I'm not going to like reveal too much, but there was a good amount of COVID going on just because, again, it's not gone. Like anytime you have a big gathering, it's bound to happen. So like because a few people were starting to get sick, we did sing with masks on, and it's hard to hear like how we all sound when we're singing like that. But later on, we were hearing the recordings and we were like, wow,
Yeah, not only that with like the mask, but it's like when you're singing in a choir, it's like hard to hear anything but like yourself and the few people around you. You can't hear like what all the harmony sounds like and stuff. So like hearing it on video, I was impressed. I mean, it was a pretty large group of us, would you say? Like, I don't know, 30 something people. And it's all people with albinism, like just people with albinism, which is special. We wore like black and red kind of to honor some the NOAA colors, even though black is not really a NOAA color, but you know, kind of like to make us all look uniform. And then, so yeah, that went great. We got a standing ovation. People were crying both in the audience and on stage. People were yelling encore. It was
it's
really
funny because we didn't have another song to sing, but you know, maybe in the future.
Right. We did not have an encore, but maybe. But then. The moment we've all been
truly
waiting for.
like.
Oh, and I will say quickly, we were talking about like highlights of the conference. I think the choir was definitely a highlight.
The choir was
everyone.
fantastic, and I loved being able to be involved in like finally in person for both of us. So it was so cool.
Yeah.
This was one of my highlights. So. Okay, so the conference, like, next location, since it's every other year and it rotates locations, is always, like, a big secret. Anyone who works there knows. Anyone who's kind of, like, on the board will know. But it's very much a need-to-know basis. And so, you know, you learn pretty quickly that you're probably not going to get it out of people who work there. They are pretty much sworn to secrecy. So even though I knew Casey worked there, I'd never bothered to ask because I knew she would never tell me anyway. So like, despite people were like, "Oh, of course, you got it revealed to you because your best friend works here." I was like, "Nope, she would not tell me."
You were like, "No,
no," because I love the surprise. So a big part of the closing ceremony is announcing where the next con is going to be. It always is, and Casey texted me like the week of the con and like Monday or Tuesday before we left, and she was like, "Hey, we want you to be involved in the announcement of the next location. So do you accept? And if so, then I'll tell you where it is so that you can be involved." And I was like, "Oh, gee, of course. Yeah, absolutely." And so they prepared a little skit to announce it, and it was really cute and fun. I don't know whether to like say how it went at the con or just like say how it went when you told me, but like
oh, you could say all of anything you want.
Okay, so when like Case was like wanting me to guess, and I was like, should I just say like Columbus like as a joke? But I was like, nah, they'd never pick that. And then so she was like, "Oh, it's a place that means a lot to you," and I was like,
and you still like, didn't
I was
say
so
anything
hesitant.
after I said
I
that.
was so hesitant.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You own property here?" And I was like,
well, I didn't want to say like you live there because that's so I mean, it's still obvious, but I wanted to be kind of funny about it. Like, you own property there.
I could not believe that the next con was going to be in Columbus, Ohio, where I live. I wanted to recommend it to the NOAA like team just because I love living here. I've lived here for like 9 years, I would say, and I love it. And I always want to talk it up because everyone's like, "What do you even do in Ohio?" And I'm just like, I love living here. There's great food. There's good attractions. If you just have to know where to look. And I was like so excited. So the skit at the closing ceremony, we had just like the chairman of the board was kind of like, "Okay, so we're gonna, you know," obviously it was like all pre-planned, but like, "We're gonna do something a little bit different this time. We're gonna ask you guys for suggestions." And so part of the skit was the people involved were like raising their hands. We're like, "I want to go to a place that insert like random fact about Ohio. Like I want to go to a place that has a German village," and Columbus has a really cute German village. And I want to go to a place where like the headquarters of Wendy's is, which is Columbus, if you didn't know. Also White Castle.
But it was like things that were kind of things that were kind of random enough where if you didn't know, you still wouldn't know where we were going.
And they got more and more specific because soone said
they get more
the best
specific
damn band in the land, which if you don't know is like the Ohio State Buckeyes marching band. And I went to Ohio State and I was just like, oh wow, I didn't even know that they put that in there because I talked about it with Marlena, who was planning it the night before, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. I recommended like something related to like the Buckeyes like toward the end. But I got to kind of like I be the last person and was like, hey, like this all sounds like where I live. And some people were like, where do you live? And so like I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try something. I don't know if it's going to work, but, and then if you aren't familiar, I hope most people are, but I think Marlena didn't know about it.
I was not.
I told Casey in advance because, like, obviously she knew that we were doing this, and I was like, okay, it's a call and response. People from Ohio know how to do it. It's basically you just say OH, and then people respond IO. And it was so funny because the guy who was coordinating the panel that I was on a couple days before, he was also from Ohio, and he knew that I know, like, he didn't know where the next con was going to be, but he knew that I was from Ohio, and he would do it to me as he would see me. So it was actually kind of cool.
Oh, that's funny.
That he didn't even know, but I did that like once, and like I was scared that no one was going to know what to do, and a few people were going to be like, just
that's why I was like screaming.
And so
I was screaming loudly.
Like a pretty loud reception.
It was. And then,
yeah. Like the chairman was like, "Well, wait, can you do that again?" And so we did it a second time, and then they were like, "Yeah, the next conference is in Columbus." I felt like it was a personal victory, even though I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, it was really cute. I love that you got to.
I was honored.
And be the one. Yeah, and we're excited about that location.
I'm so excited for people to come to Columbus. I seriously can't wait, which means that Casey's gonna be in town a few more times before the con.
Heck yeah, and that's also super exciting. So that was so fun that you got to do that, and we quickly said bye to everyone, and we went to Disneyland with a group of friends,
which was such a blast. Like really, really such a blast.
Yeah,
there were like 5 of us, and I feel like we hit all the Disney boxes. Like,
yeah, we did. We had some disability access issues, and we want to talk about that, but we don't want to talk about it on this episode.
You guys, it was truly abysmal, and like it has inspired an entire new episode.
Yes, we will definitely talk about it in the episode. We certainly will, Cast. We certainly will, my friend. Ugh. But
we did not let that ruin our day.
No. And in fact, we really did have, after that, everything went off without a hitch, and we really got to do everything we wanted to do. We found everything well. Disneyland is pretty easy to navigate, easier than World, because it's just like everything is closer together. You don't have to walk as far, and
it wasn't super crowded despite it being July.
Yeah, and we got a perfect spot for the fireworks at night, which was really special. And what were some of your highlights from the day?
Ooh, it was just so fun. I feel like, we've been to Disney a good bit, especially Disney World mostly, but I hadn't been to Disneyland in 20 years. And so it was so cool to get to be there again. There are 2 parks. We only did just Magic Kingdom, but it was really fun. I feel like a big part of going to Disney is the vibes, though. Yeah. So it was just fun to stroll around and eat food, and I got a Dole Whip, and we, shopped a little bit, and I liked the vibes. It was so fun. The attractions were great, too. I had never, so like at Disney World, there's not an Indiana Jones ride, but there is at Disneyland. And that was super fun. Yes. I really enjoyed that ride.
I did, too. I had also never been on it before because it's not at Disney World, and It was such a good ride. Fantastic ride. I love that. I had never been on the Disneyland version of Small World either. Neither had you, right? So that was really cool
Probably
to see.
20 years ago.
Oh yeah,
but like,
yeah, exactly. And so we sat next to each other and talked about funny things the whole time on that ride, just like making funny comments about the ride, which is what we do when we're together typically. That's definitely like the Case and Cast way. We caught a parade, got to see that, and yeah, just kind of like had those little Disney moments of walking around.
It was
and
fun.
Yeah,
got a churro.
Of course,
we got like we got the best pictures of the castle.
Yes.
So it's the Sleeping Beauty pink castle. It's really cute. It's smaller than the Cinderella castle in Disney World, but it's adorable, and I love it because this park was first. So like, we wanted to wait until evening, where like as people with albinism, we wouldn't have to squint in the sun.
And pictures just look better too. The lighting.
They do look better, and the
Yes.
castle is like lit up, like they shine lights on it, and it looks really pretty. And we like found this ledge and a lamppost to stand against, and it looked so cute.
There was
and
a
so
fountain
good.
in the back, like.
Oh my gosh, it was like so perfect, and we didn't fully realize they were starting to like rope the areas off for the fireworks and at night, and we were like kind of low-key getting kicked out of that area, so there were also pretty much no people because we were the last to leave before they roped that area off.
Yeah, and we like timed it perfectly when we got there, like the exact moment of the sun going down. And yeah, we ate good food. And I got my Rice Krispie, which is very important to me. But yeah, it was really, really fun. We got at the very end, like Mickey and Minnie were waving us goodbye, which was cute.
It was
and
so cute. We even got to do Space Mountain, which like a cast member had told us when we got in there that it was like closed for repairs.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and we got to ride it, which was awesome.
Yeah, and Pirates is fun, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and
it was
all
a great
those
time.
rides. Yeah, absolutely. Such a good time. But we will have to talk about the DAS in another episode.
Man.
But yeah, and after we didn't get back to the hotel till like midnight, pretty much. I think 11:30.
Yeah,
11.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
We all got us a little snack because I will say, I don't know if it was the hotel or generally Orange County, but like, gosh, the water was awful.
The water was the worst.
The tap water was disgusting.
The worst thing I had ever tasted in my entire life.
So we kept running to the convenience store and
buying
spending money at the hotel, buying
which was
bottled
so
waters.
annoying because we brought our water bottles with us and we would have just filled up.
We couldn't even fill them up.
I couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't tolerate it. No,
it smelled bad, like coming out of the tap.
It tasted terrible too. Yeah,
Ugh.
Such a terrible thing.
But we did what we could. But yeah, so we got like some bottled waters and some snacks and ran up and kind of had said goodbye because we knew that our flights were leaving at different times anyway. But
yeah.
It was so good. Like, I feel like I'm still kind of in that post-conference slump where, like, it didn't feel fully real, but I am also really happy to, like, be home, especially because I haven't really, only for a few days, I haven't really been home.
Yeah.
For
you haven't.
like a couple weeks.
And even though I had a longer turnaround after, I traveled a few weeks before the conference too, so we've both been just, like, crazy leading up to it. And it'll be nice. I mean, you still have a busy weekend, I think, but I'm feeling excited to kind of like get back into everyday life a bit. But no, there is like a post-conference blues that happens, and it is really just great to see everybody and to be all together again. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I cannot wait for people to come to Columbus. I think it's just going to be so fun. I have a lot of ideas, so I'm excited.
We really hope to see you all in Columbus if you're a part of the albinism community and you're listening to this pod. If you're not, we hope you at least learned something or had fun listening to us recap the conference. If you came, I hope we got to say hi to you. If not, shoot us an email, tell us who you are. And I know some of the teens and tweens wrote down the name of our pod, so hopefully we got some new listeners out of the whole thing too.
Yeah, it was so good. And like, it's a really special thing for us to be involved after, 10 plus years of both of us being involved in NOAA for a variety of in a variety of ways, whether even just by attending. If you ever feel called to donate, you can always donate to the National Organization of for albinism and hypopigmentation at albinism.org. We're not sponsored by NOAA and we don't represent them, but we do really care about this organization and have donated to them like as we're able. So we highly recommend, if you have the means and the calling, to consider giving to an org that, you know, we've loved to get a lot from and then give a lot to.
Yes, I'm glad you plugged that. I am, because I do think if Noah has touched your life...
It's all the way at the very end, so I don't know if we'll hear it. But
no, yeah, but if Noah has touched your life, I do think it's important to give to those orgs that matter to us, especially nonprofits, of course, for that reason. But yeah, no, it was a really great time, and I'm glad we were good. We were all well.
And we got to reunite.
We got to reunite, which was the most... This is the cheesiest way to end it. It was the most magical part of all. It was, though. It was great.
So good, though. No, seriously, like, and we like don't take that time for granted, because we are always like chasing each other down. So it's great.
And we're such like hugger type people. Like, we're very touchy-feely, so like being in person is just fun, because I'm just like clinging on to you like for...
I know, likewise.
Yeah, it's fun.
We're just like rubbing each other, giving each other hugs, like...
It's so true.
Patting back.
Yes, it's so true.
Well, we hope that you guys had fun, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye!